Yeah. So welcome for RTL online trainings. In our previous sessions, we discussed and we have uploaded. You can find some of the real-time scenarios and issues over here. See, there are some free certifications can be done here. That's and all I have uploaded. So this session will discuss about how we can go for configure approval management in human capital management as a management hierarchy. Okay, as a management hierarchy. So let's say this is a real-time requirement. So in the real time, let's say the client has asked you, whenever we create position, we need approval from the corresponding employee. Whoever is creating, that employee's manager has to approve it. That employee manager has to approve it. So for example, if X employee is creating a position, then his manager has to approve it. Y person has to approve it. That's the requirement. So it's a common requirement when we are working in the projects. And sometimes when we are working in the supporting projects or in the testing scenarios, they will ask us to test it, whether the management hierarchy approval is working or not. Then what we are supposed to do is we are supposed to have a couple of employees and managers and go for approve that here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to create two employees. First one, create manager. First I'm going to create a manager. Second, I'm going to create employee. And then employee is going to create position. And then we have to check whether manager has received notification or not. That we are going to test it. So let me go for hire an employee and make him as a manager first. Make sure that you have the role called human resource specialist role. Then only you will be able to hire employees. Here, new person, hire employee. I'm going to make him as is joining in 21st. Let's take for US1 legal entity. We're working for US1 legal entity and a manager name. I'm going to say that here M1 for manager. M for manager, I'm taking it as. So these all are personal information, identification details we are going to enter. And if we want to make him as manager, we must enable this option here. Make sure that working as a manager as yes. Working as a manager as yes. And if you want to go with again manager for him, then we will go for set who is the manager. So I'm going to make Curtis Fitty is the manager, line manager here. We have different managers can be added here, but if you want to go for add another manager, project manager, we can go for add here. But while configuring the approvals, we can choose exactly you need approval from line manager or project manager or resource manager, like that. We can choose. I will show that. Now what we have done, we hired an employee and we made him as a manager. He is a manager. And also we assigned the manager. Two managers are there for him also. Curtis Fitty and some Monica, line manager and project managers. We have assigned the two managers here. Yes, minimum 3 characters required when you are searching. That's fine. So we got the manager, and let me go for hire employee now. I'm going to hire employee, and we'll make this person as a manager. So let me hire employee here. Here we'll assign the manager. So who is our manager? This guy, right? Yes. We defined three hierarchies right here. So we defined employee 1, and for a manager is 1, and for manager again one more manager is there, cut is fit. So we defined three hierarchies. Now we are going to configure the approval option for position, or we can try it for any object. Submit. We have three employees hierarchy here, management hierarchy. Let's go to setup and maintenance here. Search for approval from FSM. Manage approval transactions for HCM. Go to approval rules. Here it is. Create position. Now first we are enabling the approval option. Go for configure rule. If we want to define the new rule, we can define. Here we can find self auto approve is there. Remove this. Select then option. Then we can find all these options are enabled. Now we need management hierarchy. Click on this. Select management hierarchy rule. Here we can find. You want to go with approvals? Yes. Or you need just automatic approval, or you want to go with information only. Approval is required. And you need approval from line managers or project manager. We can choose the option, which manager. I am going ahead with the line manager. Most of the times in the projects will be using line manager only. Approval chain of requester. Yes. Start with manager or employee. For example, you need approval first from the employee who has created the record. And then if you need approval from your manager also, you can set up by selecting the employee. So that what happened when employee create a record, for example, position, first whoever has created that employee has to approve it. Then his manager will go for approve. Then depends on the number of levels you can see. For example, if I mention number of levels are 2, starting with employee, first employee has to approve it, then his manager will approve. In case if I mention manager, employee no need to go for approve it. First, his manager will approve, again his manager, because we mentioned number of levels are 2. So we need approvals from the 2 levels of managers. Okay. And who is the top approver? Here we'll specify the manager here. Okay. Save this. Submit. So we mentioned levels are 2 and start with the manager. We specified 2 levels. That's the reason what happened. Whenever employee create position required from the manager approval, again from his approval. If we mention 1, just need approval only from the first manager, not from the second level. Again, one more manager. We mentioned 2, right? Let's create. Okay. So now employee wants to create a position. We need a username and password for the employee and managers. And also when employee wants to create position, he need an implementation role, right? Application implementation consultant role is required. Then only he can enter into the FSM environment and create a position. There are some basic roles are already added here. application implementation consultant. For manager, does not require. For manager, he just need employee role is sufficient, because he will be just receiving the notifications and manager will go for either approve or reject. So just employee role is sufficient. Let me log in with employee first. Our employee is going to create position here. Manage positions here. Selecting the business unit, US1 business unit. Let me go with Wipro sales manager. That's the name of the position. So while creating the transaction, means while creating the position itself, we can find out what are the approvals are assigned over here. Now we can find, go down here last, select this, expand the approvals option. We can find the bypass approval is enabled. Oh, for position bypass approval is enabled. Let me check. Somebody might have enabled. Let me cross check once. Positions. Sorry, let's go to approval. Approval transactions for HCM. Which process? Position. Create position. Yes. Check this. When we expand this approvers option, we'll get who has to approve this transaction. Right now, it's need here options here. 2 approval managers, right? Go down here. But it is showing only Curtis Fitty approval. We have to get approval from the who is the manager for this employee. First manager is there, right? Let me check. So once employee log into the applications, employee can verify from self information from me, personal information. He will come to know who is the manager for him. Employment information. Oh, this manager is Curtis Fitty. How come we added M1, right? Somebody might have changed. That's the problem. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's see now when employee create an transaction, then it need approval from the Curtis Fitty. Now Curtis Fitty is going to log in. I think parallelly somebody has changed. No issue. Now Curtis Fitty is going to log in. He is a manager. We can find the action required by Pro Sales Manager. Let's go for approve it. So this is how we will be able to configure the approval options when we are working management hierarchy. If we need approvals from the managers, what we have to do is management hierarchy option we have to use. We need to specify the levels, either 1 or multiple, depends on the requirement. First, we have to go to approval rules and choose the process. Which process you want to go, create position and go for it, configure rules, and we'll be able to perform from here it is. Okay, so if we want to bypass the approvals, we can choose this management hierarchy. You don't have 2 managers, that's why it has to get us from the first manager. So this is how we can set the approvals for by using management hierarchy. Okay, so after practicing this particular example, please enable this option. Otherwise, what happened? If somebody create a position, it will not be available in the application. So it will be waiting for approvals, right? So that time they don't find the result. So better go for disable. We have approved, we'll see the position. Employee also will receive the notification saying that your position has been approved successfully by the manager. The moment when employee log into the applications here, it's been approved. Okay, thank you. And you can get it this information automatically here whenever you go for the manage task. Here it is, setup and maintenance here. Let's go for setup and maintenance. Now we can search for position here, we'll find it. You can find the record over here. So this is how we can configure approval management in human capital management, how we can set up the management hierarchies. Thank you.